This video is about Isis descends to the Nile, but a monster awakens from the depths. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the dawning light of a new age, the world was awash in whispers of fate. The Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt, flowed with secrets as old as time itself. Its waters shimmered under the gaze of Ra, the sun god, who rode his chariot across the heavens, casting golden rays upon the earth. Yet, beneath the surface, something ancient stirred, awakening from a slumber as deep as the darkest void. Isis, the goddess of magic and motherhood, descended from the celestial realms, her heart heavy with the weight of her brother Osiris' demise. The heavens had conspired against him, and in his death, chaos had seeped into the world like a relentless tide. With each stroke of her wings, she traversed the iridescent skies, her essence woven with determination and sorrow. As she landed on the banks of the Nile, the very earth trembled beneath her feet. Isis knelt and pressed her palms against the cool, silty soil. "O sacred river," she whispered, "grant me guidance, show me the path to restore balance." Her voice, though soft, rippled through the waters, summoning echoes of the past. But the Nile had its own secrets. The currents twisted and turned, revealing glimpses of a shadow lurking in its depths. The monster, known only as Apep, the serpent of chaos, stirred within a watery abyss. Once bound by the gods, his spirit festered with rage and hunger, yearning to unleash havoc upon the world. In the grand palace of Pharaoh Khufu, the air thickened with tension. The ruler sat upon his throne, adorned in gold, his crown glinting like the sun itself. He gazed into the distance, feeling the ominous pull of destiny. His advisors spoke of omens and signs, portents that foretold disaster. "Our land teeters on the edge, great Pharaoh," one advisor urged, his voice trembling. "The goddess has returned, the serpent stirs, we must act." Khufu's heart was heavy with honor and duty. He had sacrificed much to maintain peace, yet the gods remained fickle. "Send forth the bravest of our warriors," he commanded, "to find the goddess and seek her counsel. The Nile's wrath must not be provoked." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a band of warriors gathered. Among them was Seti, the fiercest swordsman of the realm, known for his indomitable spirit and unmatched skill. He had heard tales of Isis' descent and felt a stirring deep within his soul, a calling that transcended mere duty. "Brothers, we embark on a quest to find the goddess," Seti declared, his voice powerful and unwavering. "We shall face whatever beasts lie in wait, for we are the shield of the Pharaoh, protectors of our land." With his words igniting a fire within them, the warriors set forth, their hearts pounding with both anticipation and trepidation. They marched alongside the Nile, their silhouettes merging with the shadows of twilight, each step echoing the ancient rhythms of destiny. As they approached the riverbank, a thick fog began to rise, swelling with an unnatural energy. The warriors tightened their grips on their weapons, eyes darting in search of danger. Unbeknownst to them, Apep had sensed their approach, his eyes gleaming with malice as he slithered just beneath the surface, waiting to strike. Meanwhile, Isis, still kneeling by the Nile, invoked the power of the ancients. "O waters of life, grant me strength," she called, feeling the energy surge around her. The air crackled with magic, and the river's surface shimmered like 1,000 mirrors reflecting her unwavering resolve. Suddenly, a thunderous roar erupted from beneath, splintering the tranquility. The waters erupted violently as Apep breached the surface, a colossal serpent wreathed in darkness. His scales shimmered ominously, like obsidian shards reflecting the dying light of the sun. "Isis," he hissed, venom dripping from his forked tongue. "You dare disturb my slumber, you will pay dearly for your transgressions." Isis, undeterred, met his gaze with fierce determination. "I will not allow you to wreak havoc upon the world any longer, Apep. Your reign of chaos ends with me." With a flick of her wrist, she summoned a whirlwind of divine energy, sending it spiraling toward the beast. The winds howled, a tempest of magic swelling around them, but Apep countered, his massive tail sweeping through the air like an avalanche, crashing against the goddess' power. The resulting shockwave rippled through the land, striking fear into the hearts of all who witnessed the clash. The warriors, drawn by the chaos, rushed toward the tumultuous river. Seti, sensing their leader's struggle, urged his comrades. "We must aid the goddess, she is our only hope against this darkness." With adrenaline coursing through their veins, they plunged into the fray, swords drawn, ready to fight. As they reached the riverbank, the sight was awe-inspiring and terrifying. They beheld Isis standing her ground against the monstrous serpent, a vision of strength and defiance. "Warriors, heed my call," she commanded, her voice ringing clear. "Together, we can defeat this darkness." With a rallying cry, Seti led the charge, his sword gleaming in the fading light. For the Nile, for our people. The warriors surged forward, their hearts pounding with purpose. They attacked with fierce precision, striking at Apep as vulnerable on the belly, trying to distract him long enough for Isis to unleash her full power. But Apep, fueled by rage, retaliated with ferocity, his tail sweeping across the battlefield, sending warriors flying like leaves in a storm. Seti narrowly dodged the attack, rolling to his feet, adrenaline sharpening his senses. "Stand strong," he shouted to his comrades, rallying them against the monstrous foe. Isis channeled her magic, her essence intertwining with the holy energies of the Nile. "Go, great river," she called, "lend me your strength." The waters began to rise, swirling around her, forming a protective barrier against Apep's wrath. The river itself seemed to answer, flowing with renewed vigor, imbued with divine power. "Now, warriors," Isis commanded, her voice thunderous. "Strike true." The soldiers charged, their hearts ignited by the goddess's fire. With each swing of their swords, they wove a tapestry of hope and courage, their spirits unyielding in the face of despair. Apep roared in fury, thrashing wildly, but as the battle waged on, the serpent began to tire. Fencing an opening, Seti lunged forward, plunging his sword deep into the creature's side. Apep howled, thrashing violently as the wound pulsated with blinding light, the energy of the Nile coursing through it. Isis seized the moment, her magic coalescing into a radiant spear of light. "This ends now," she declared, launching the spear with all her might. It struck true, piercing Apep's heart, igniting a cataclysm of energy that reverberated across the heavens. As the serpent writhed in anguish, the Nile surged, reclaiming the balance that had been threatened for far too long. The waters enveloped Apep, pulling him down into the depths, where he would remain bound for eternity, a warning to those who dared disrupt the cycle of life. The battlefield fell silent, the air heavy with the scent of victory mingled with loss. The warriors, battered yet triumphant, turned to Isis, their eyes shining with admiration. "You have led us through darkness, goddess," Seti said, breathless. "We are forever in your debt." Isis, her heart swelling with pride and sorrow, regarded the fallen warriors and the lives lost in the struggle. "We have only begun to fight the shadows that threaten our land, but together we shall uphold the light." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world into twilight, a new chapter awaited. The goddess of magic had risen once more, bound to the Nile by sacrifice and honor, while the echoes of the battle still lingered in the hearts of those who dared to dream of a brighter tomorrow. But Apep's curse lay not solely in his defeat, for the abyss had not forgotten. In the silence of the depths, where shadows wove tales of despair, a dreadful promise whispered among the currents, one that would soon rise to haunt even the bravest of souls. The dawn broke over the Nile, painting the horizon in hues of soft pink and gold, a stark contrast to the darkness that had just been vanquished. As the sun whispered promises of a new day, it illuminated the faces of the weary warriors who stood beside Isis, their hearts still racing from the ferocity of battle. Seti, his sword still dripping with the residue of the serpent's dark essence, gazed out over water, his thoughts tangled in the aftermath of their victory. "Is the serpent truly gone, goddess?" he asked, his voice a mix of hope and unease. "Or is this merely a fleeting reprieve?" Isis, still radiant despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes, knelt by the river, her fingers brushing the surface. "The Nile speaks to me," she replied, her tone thoughtful. "Apep may be bound in the depths, but his malice lingers. We must remain vigilant." With her words, the river shimmered ominously, as if echoing her thoughts. The warriors exchanged nervous glances. A shadow had passed over their spirits, a reminder that darkness could return at any moment. "Let us return to Pharaoh Khufu," one warrior suggested, his voice quaking. "He must be informed of our trials, and we must prepare for the worst." The warriors, though victorious, felt the weight of uncertainty pressing upon them. As they made their way back to the palace, the sky darkened once more. A tempest brewed on the horizon, swirling clouds threatening to unleash chaos upon the land. The very air crackled with foreboding, as if the cosmos were in tune with the unrest that lay beneath the surface of the Nile. Upon arriving at the Grand Palace, they found Pharaoh Khufu awaiting them, his eyes filled with concern. "Tell me, brave warriors, what has become of the goddess and the serpent?" he demanded, his voice resonating through the hall like a mighty storm. "The great Pharaoh," Seti began, stepping forward, "we fought valiantly, but Apep's essence remains. He has been bound, yet I fear his darkness will find a way to seep back into our world. We must prepare for his return." Khufu's brow furrowed, a deep line of worry etched into his regal features. "Then we shall summon the might of the gods, the council of deities must be convened, and we shall devise a plan to ensure Apep's eternal imprisonment." As the warriors gathered around the pharaoh, Isis felt the weight of their hopes pressing upon her. It is not merely the gods who must act, she spoke, her voice steady but filled with urgency. We must seek the heart of the Nile, the primordial essence that binds life. Only then can we strengthen our defenses against Apep's return. Thus, the council was summoned, bringing forth divine beings from the realms beyond. Ra, the sun god, appeared with blazing light, his immense form radiating power. "What has befallen my beloved Nile?" he boomed, his voice echoing like thunder. "It has been tainted," Great Ra, Isis replied, her gaze unwavering. Apep sought to unleash chaos upon our world, and while we have fought him back today, we sense that he is not truly defeated. We need your strength to reinforce the bonds that hold him captive. Ra nodded, considering her words. "The Nile is sacred to all life. I shall lend my light to this endeavor, but we must also seek out Thoth, the god of wisdom, for he holds knowledge that can guide us further." As the council deliberated, a sudden tremor shook the palace, and an ominous roar echoed through the halls. The warriors exchanged alarmed glances, and Khufu's expression turned grave. "The curse of Apep is upon us," he declared, drawing his sword. "We must protect the goddess and our realm." In that moment, the shadows coiled around them, a manifestation of Apep's lingering wrath. The walls of the palace trembled, and from the depths emerged a legion of shadowy serpents, spawned from the remnants of chaos. They slithered forth, their eyes glinting with malice. Seti, undeterred by the encroaching darkness, rallied his comrades. "To arms, we cannot let this evil spread. Fight with honor." His sword glimmered defiantly in the dim light as he charged into the fray, warriors following his lead. Isis, channeling her divine power, summoned a radiant shield that enveloped the palace. "Hold strong," she commanded. "Protect the light." The warriors fought valiantly, striking at the serpents, their swords singing as they clashed against the dark forms. Raw sunlit distance filled the air, igniting the very ground beneath them. "Let my light purify the shadows," he thundered, unleashing beams of radiance that scattered the serpents, turning them to vapor. A powerful surge of energy flowed through the palace, imbuing the warriors with newfound strength. But as the battle raged, Isis sensed a shift in the currents of fate. Apep's spirit is restless, she realized, her heart pounding. He is calling to his minions from afar, summoning them to rise against us. The warriors fought with unwavering courage, yet the shadows continued to swell, as if fed by the very fear of the defenders. "We must break the source of their power," Seti shouted, dodging a serpent-esque strike. "Isis, can you bind them?" "I will try," she replied, her voice strained as she focused her energy. As the serpents writhed and struck, she unleashed a torrent of magic, binding them in luminescent chains. "Now, strike," she commanded. With renewed determination, the warriors rallied around her, their swords carving through the darkness. Yet, as they fought, another roar echoed through the palace, sending tremors deep into their bones. A colossal form emerged from the shadows, a greater manifestation of Apep himself, born from the chaos of the battle. "Foolish mortals," he hissed, his voice a slithering whisper that sent chills through their hearts. "You think you can bind me? I will consume the light, I will bring ruin to your world." With a flick of his colossal tail, he sent a shockwave through the palace, forcing the warriors back. They stumbled, struggling to regain their footing. Seti, breathless and battered, rose defiantly. "We must not falter. Together, we can prevail." Isis's heart raced as she felt the weight of destiny upon her shoulders. "We need the heart of the Nile," she cried, realizing it was their only hope. "If we can reach it, we can harness its power to banish Apep for good." Ra''s voice boomed with conviction. "Then we shall summon the essence of the river. I will light our path." His radiance intensified, illuminating the way toward the sacred heart, hidden deep beneath the Nile's depths. Seti, seizing the moment, rallied his warriors. "We push forward, we fight for our land, for our lives." With renewed resolve, they charged toward the river, Apep's serpentine form thrashing behind them, spitting venom and curses. Isis led the way, her magic swirling around her as she drew strength from the very essence of the Nile. The water shimmered, revealing a hidden chasm that pulsed with life. "There lies the heart," she shouted, her voice filled with hope. But Apep, sensing their intentions, surged forward, his massive form blocking their path. "You will not reach it," he roared, his eyes blazing with fury. "Your efforts are in vain. Not if we stand united." Seti yelled, pushing forward, his comrades at his side. The warriors formed a protective line, their spirits ignited by the power of the goddess and the sun. With a coordinated strike, they launched themselves at the serpent, aiming for his vulnerable underbelly. Isis channeled her magic, invoking the primordial energies of the river. "By the power of the Nile, I command you to be bound." The waters began to churn violently, responding to her call. A massive whirlpool formed, pulling Apep toward the depths, where the heart pulsed with untamed power. With a final rally, Seti drove his sword deep into Abep's side, and the serpent howled in anguish. The warriors pressed on, their hearts united in a fight against the darkness. As Abep writhed in pain, the whirlpool intensified, pulling him away from the light. "Now, Isis," Seti cried, summoning all his strength. "Finish this." With a fierce cry, Isis unleashed her magic, casting a radiant net of energy that enveloped Abep. The serpent thrashed violently, but the power of the heart surged through the net, binding him to his fate. "You are defeated, Abep," she declared, her voice ringing with resolve. "May you remain imprisoned for eternity." With a final, spine-chilling roar, Abep was drawn into the depths, the waters closing over him like a shroud. The darkness receded, and a tranquil calm spread across the Nile, the heartbeat of the land restored. Raw light enveloped the warriors, illuminating their battered forms. The palace, once trembling with fear, now stood as a beacon of hope. "You have fought bravely," Ra proclaimed, his voice filled with pride. "The heart of the Nile shall remain strong." As dawn broke over the Nile, the horizon glowed in ethereal hues, illuminating the remnants of the battle that had unfolded. The air was thick with the scent of victory, but beneath that aroma lingered a palpable tension, a reminder of the darkness that had almost consumed their world. Isis, still radiant from her victory, stood at the river's edge, her heart heavy with both triumph and sorrow. The waters shimmered with renewed vigor, reflecting the brilliance of Ra's light, yet she felt a shadow lurking within, a whisper of Abep's lingering essence. "We have triumphed today, but I fear this is not the end," she murmured to herself, her voice carried away by the gentle breeze. Seti, bruised but unbroken, approached her side. His eyes sparkled with admiration and concern. "Goddess," he began, his voice steady, "your power is unmatched, but we must strengthen our defenses. What if Abep's spirit finds a way to rise again?" He clenched his fists, a warrior's resolve coursing through him. "We cannot let our guard down." Isis nodded, acknowledging the gravity of his words. "You are wise, Seti. The heart of the Nile is a powerful ally, but it is not enough. We must seek knowledge beyond what we possess. Thoth, the god of wisdom, can provide us with the guidance we need." She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the sky met the shimmering waters, a realm of possibilities. "Then let us not waste time," Seti urged, his warrior spirit igniting. "Gather the others. We shall set forth at once. The Nile flows with purpose, and we must follow its current to find Thoth." Together, they summoned the remaining warriors, their spirits rejuvenated by the victory yet burdened by the foreboding threat of Abep's return. As they formed a procession along the banks of the Nile, the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows over the land. The journey to the Temple of Thoth was fraught with challenges. The path was overgrown with thorns and brambles, each step taken a reminder of the darkness that loomed just beyond the light. The air crackled with energy, a residual pulse from the battle they had fought. As they traversed the rugged terrain, the warriors shared stories of valor, their laughter rising like an incantation against the encroaching shadows. Yet, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, an ominous cloud settled over them, darkening their spirits. "Do you feel that?" one of the warriors whispered, his voice a tremor of fear. "The air thickens, as if the shadows themselves conspire against us." Seti halted, his senses heightened. "Stay alert. Abep's essence may still linger, seeking vengeance." He unsheathed his sword, its blade glinting in the fading light. "We will not falter." Suddenly, the ground trembled, and an eerie silence enveloped them. From the depths of the surrounding foliage, phantom serpents emerged, their scales glittering with an unnatural sheen. The warriors drew their weapons, hearts racing at the sight of these spectral minions of Abep. "Forward!" Seti commanded, rallying his comrades. "We will not allow fear to bind us." With a fierce battle cry, the warriors surged into the fray, swords clashing against the ethereal foes, cutting through the shadows that sought to engulf them. Isis, standing among them, summoned her magic, drawing strength from the Nile. "By the will of the river, I command you to vanish." Her hands glowed with radiant energy, sending ripples of light that swept through the darkness. The spectral serpents hissed, recoiling from her power, their forms beginning to dissipate into the air like smoke. "Press on," Seti urged, his voice a steady beacon amidst the chaos. "We must reach Thoth. Honor and fate guide our blades." The warriors fought valiantly, their spirits intertwined in the battle against the lingering forces of Abep. As the last of the spectral serpents vanished in a flurry of light, the path ahead began to clear, revealing the majestic Temple of Thoth, its ancient stone etched with wisdom from countless ages. The warriors gathered their breath, awe washing over them as they approached. Within the temple's hallowed halls, they found Thoth, the divine scribe, seated at a grand table carved from a single block of obsidian. His eyes gleamed with knowledge, and his presence radiated an otherworldly calm. "Welcome, brave souls," he intoned, his voice echoing like the whispers of the Nile. "You seek counsel, do you not?" Isis stepped forward, her heart racing with the weight of their quest. "Great Thoth, we have vanquished Apep for now, but his essence lingers. We fear he may rise again, more powerful than before. We seek your wisdom." Thoth regarded them with a knowing gaze. "The power of Apep is like the darkness of the night. It cannot be vanquished, only contained. To ensure that he remains bound, you must seek the sacred relic, the Feather of Maud. This feather embodies truth and balance, the very essence needed to imprison chaos. Where is this relic to be found?" Seti asked, his warrior spirit ignited with determination. "You must journey to the Valley of the Shadows, where the remnants of Apep's wrath linger. There you will face trials that test your courage, your honor, and your unity. Only then will you claim the feather." The warriors exchanged glances, trepidation mingling with resolve. "We accept this challenge," Seti declared, his voice ringing true with determination. "Together, we will confront whatever darkness lies in the valley. Remember, the bond between you will be your greatest weapon," Thoth advised, his voice a soft echo. "Trust in one another, for the shadows seek to divide and conquer." With gratitude and purpose, the warriors set forth once more, their hearts steeled for the trials that awaited them. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the land as they approached the desolate entrance of the Valley of the Shadows. As they entered, a chill enveloped them, and the air grew heavy with despair. Dark clouds loomed overhead, swirling ominously. Whispers echoed through the valley, a chorus of doubt and fear seeking to unravel their resolve. "Stay close," Seti commanded, his sword drawn, leading the way. "We will not falter." The path twisted before them, and suddenly shadows sprang forth, taking on ghastly forms that represented their deepest fears. One warrior found himself surrounded by visions of his past failures, another faced the specter of a loved one lost to the chaos. Each shadow taunted them, seeking to undermine their courage. "Do not listen," Isis shouted, her voice cutting through the darkness. "These are but illusions, we are stronger together." She raised her hands, summoning a protective aura that enveloped them, shielding them from the despair that threatened to engulf their spirits. "Focus on the light within," Seti shouted, rallying his comrades. "We have faced darkness before, we will not let it consume us." Together, they pushed through the shadows, their unity igniting a flame of hope. As they battled their fears, the shadows began to recede, revealing the heart of the valley, a luminous clearing where the Feather of Maat rested upon a pedestal of golden light. "We have made it," Seti exclaimed, his heart pounding with triumph. But as they approached, a colossal shadow coalesced before them, taking the form of Apep, more monstrous and terrifying than ever before. "Fools, you think you can conquer me?" Apep hissed, his voice a chilling caress of malevolence. "I am chaos incarnate, you will never possess the feather." The warriors stood their ground, hearts racing, swords held high. "We will not be swayed," Seti declared. "We fight for our realm, we fight for the light." With that, they charged, a whirlwind of courage and determination. Apep lashed out, his massive tail striking like lightning, but the warriors moved in synchrony, weaving through the chaos. "Isis now," Seti shouted as they circled the beast. "By the power of the Nile, I call forth the light." Isis cried, summoning all of her magic. Radiance emanated from her, intertwining with the energies of the warriors, creating a blinding wave of light. As the light surged, it struck Apep, illuminating the darkness that wrapped around him. "No," she roared, thrashing in despair. "You cannot bind me." But the warriors pressed on, their hearts united in purpose. They fought with honor, their blades glistening as they struck true, each blow resonating with the echoes of the Nile's power. With a final effort, Seti lunged forward, his sword piercing Apep's dark essence. "This ends now," he shouted. The light grew blinding as Isis unleashed the full force of her magic, binding Apep in ethereal chains of brilliance. "You will remain imprisoned," she commanded, her voice echoing with divine authority. With a deafening roar, Apep vanished into the shadows, his essence finally contained. The Feather of Maud glimmered before them, a symbol of truth and balance awaiting their grasp. Seti and the warriors stood. The Feather of Maud lay upon its pedestal, a radiant symbol of balance and truth. As they stepped forward, the weight of their trials enveloped the warriors. Seti reached out, trembling with exhaustion and hope. "This is what we fought for," he breathed, eyes locked onto the artifact that pulsed with an ethereal light. "With this, we can truly bind Apep. Together, we are stronger, Isis said, stepping beside him, an unwavering determination emanating from her presence. But remember, the darkness will not give up without a fight. As Seti grasped the feather, a surge of energy coursed through him, igniting his spirit with a wildfire of strength. The elders gathered around, their hearts stirred by the power radiating from the relic. But before they could celebrate, the chilling wind swept through the valley, snuffing out their moment of triumph. From the shadows, the form of Apep began to coalesce once more, darker and more fearsome than before, a swelling mass of chaos, his eyes burning like molten embers. "You think you can conquer me with mere artifacts?" he hissed, his voice a haunting melody of despair. "I shall rise again, and chaos will reign. Not if we stand united." Seti roared, brandishing the feather like a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The warriors formed a protective circle around Isis, their spirits ignited by the defiance in their hearts. "Let us show him the strength of our resolve," shouted one of the warriors, his voice raw with fervor. The others echoed his battle cry, their unity igniting a flicker of hope against Apep's overwhelming presence. With a ferocious roar, Apep lunged forward, the ground trembling beneath his colossal form. The warriors braced themselves, swords drawn, as the serpent's tail whipped through the air like a tempest. Seti barely dodged, rolling to avoid the deadly strike. "We must work together," he barked, adrenaline surging through his veins. Isis raised the feather high above her head, its light illuminating the shadows. "Together, we wield truth against chaos," she declared, her voice vibrating with conviction. The feather glowed brighter, resonating with the essence of the Nile. As Apep charged again, the warriors struck in unison, their swords gleaming with divine energy. "Now!" Seti shouted, leading the charge. They struck at Apep's coils, aiming for the weak points of his serpentine body. Each blow sent shockwaves through the air, but Apep retaliated with unyielding fury. "Fools, you are but ants beneath my power," he roared, lashing out with incredible speed, his tail sweeping across the battlefield. Several warriors were sent sprawling, crashing against the rocks, their cries echoing in the valley. "Hold fast," Isis called, channeling her magic. "By the Nile's essence, I bind you." With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a torrent of light that enveloped Apep, momentarily stunning him. The glow of the feather of Maud intensified, bathing the valley in a warm, golden light. "Strike now!" Seti rallied, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The warriors surged forward, swords glimmering as they plunged into the darkness, each strike resonating with the chant of their unity. But Apep, fueled by rage, unleashed a torrent of chaos magic. Shadows twisted and writhed around him, forming nightmarish creatures that sprang forth to attack the warriors. "I will consume your light," he hissed, and the specters lunged, clawed arms reaching for the prey. "Fight them off," Seti shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Remember your training, stand strong." The warriors fought valiantly against the shadowy apparitions, their swords cleaving through the darkness. One warrior, surrounded by shadows, felt the encroaching spectre threaten to consume him. I can do this," he cried, dropping his sword. "Do not succumb," Isis cried, her voice breaking through the shadows. "You are not alone, we fight together." With a surge of magic, she sent a wave of light towards him, rekindling his spirit. The warrior stood tall, reclaiming his soul with renewed vigor. "Together!" Seti roared, leading the charge against the monsters. Their swords cleaved through darkness, each strike pushing back the shadows that sought to engulf them. As the echoes of battle filled the air, Isis focused all her energy into the feather. "We must bind him, we must end this," she cried, her voice a plea to the essence of the Nile that coursed through her veins. With a fierce determination, Seti charged forward, aiming for Apep's heart, thrusting the feather into the darkness. "Your reign ends here," he declared, channeling all the strength he had left. Apep writhed, his form flickering between chaos and solidity. "You think you can bind me with a mere feather? I am eternal," he roared, the ground trembling beneath him. But the light of the feather surged, intertwining with the Nile's ancient essence, and the shadows began to recede. "Hold fast," Isis cried, her hands glowing with divine light. "We shall not yield." With a final, desperate thrust, Seti drove the feather deeper into Apep's heart, and the serpent howled, a sound of pure anguish that echoed through the valley. "No, I will not be bound," he shrieked, thrashing violently, but the power of the feather surged, a radiant light engulfing him. The shadows screamed, twisting and writhing, until with a brilliant flash, Apep was consumed by the light. The remnants of chaos faded, leaving only silence in their wake. Breathless, the warriors stood in awe, the air around them shimmering with energy. Yet, as they reveled in their victory, a heavy silence settled over the valley. Something felt amiss, the atmosphere was charged. almost electric, as if the world were holding its breath. Is it truly over? One warrior asked, his voice barely a whisper. Can we be sure Apep is gone for good? Isis knelt beside the pedestal, the feathers still glowing in her grasp. We have bound him, but we must remain vigilant, she replied, her brow furrowed with concern. The darkness never truly vanishes, it merely waits for the moment to strike again. The sun dipped below the horizon, the twilight casting long shadows across the valley. We must return to the pharaoh, Seti suggested, his heart heavy with the weight of the journey. He needs to know of our victory and the lingering threat. As they made their way back, whispers of doubt threaded through the warriors' hearts. Would Apep truly remain imprisoned? Could they withstand the darkness should it rise again? The weight of uncertainty pressed upon them, each footfall echoing their unspoken fears. Upon their return to the palace, Pharaoh Khufu awaited them, regal and stoic, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of concern. Tell me, brave warriors, what news do you bring? He demanded, the tension palpable in the air. Great Pharaoh, Seti began, stepping forward, we have bound Apep once more, but we sense he is not truly vanquished. The darkness lingers, we must prepare for his inevitable return. Khufu's expression darkened. Then we shall gather the might of the gods once more, he declared, his voice resonating with resolve. We will not allow chaos to reign over our land. As the council convened once more, with Ra and Thoth joining them, the atmosphere crackled with urgency. We must create barriers stronger than before, Ra proclaimed, his voice like thunder. Apep has tasted our light, and he will not rest until he claims it. Thoth nodded in agreement. The feather of Mod is powerful, but we must also seek the primordial stones of balance. With them, we can forge a new covenant that binds chaos and order. Isis felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Then we must embark on another quest, she said, her voice steady. We cannot falter in our duty, the survival of our world depends on our balance. As the council agreed on their next steps, a sense of purpose washed over the warriors. They would not allow fear to bind them, they would fight for their world and the light that shone within it. And so, as dawn broke once more over the Nile, the warriors prepared for their next adventure, resolute in their fight against the darkness. The echoes of Apep's curse lingered like a haunting melody, but united by honor and hope, they marched forward into the unknown, ready to confront whatever shadows dared to rise.